All right, hey guys, it is Umbra here on a Friday evening, and we are going to be taking a look at a brand new unit available on the JP side now. Thanks to Bismarck for getting the data up on a Friday so that we can get a better look at this unit. So say hello to Frederica's sister-in-law, whose name, I'm actually not joking, is Yuaru. And that's not a pun. That's not a joke as far as I'm concerned. It really is her name. So just to prove it one more time, Yuaru. That's her name, and it's also her rarity. I mean, I have a feeling that before we get started this review, let's just say that I have a feeling that it was like 5 p.m. on a Friday. The Wotv guys, they were in a busy meeting. They've done all these characters and everything, and they said, hey, guys, what are we going to name this character? He's a UR. But jokes aside, let's get talking about this character who is a Earth Elemental Permanent 90 cost unit with a brand new job, Pugilist as a secondary and Knight as a third job. Let's talk about her first job too. First job is essentially martial artist, so think if you want a point of recommendation or of reference, think of it basically like Tifa's job, kind of, different abilities and whatnot, slightly different overall setup, but the same kind of brand new Fist job that could help Fist get a little more traction in the current meta. But this unit, when I saw her revealed the previous night, I thought, hey, look at this unit. Isn't super impressive. Probably just going to easy skip this, and that hasn't changed for me personally, but in taking a look at her, she is a solid unit, and I think that some Fist users are going to be quite happy with her. So let's talk about her, show off her limit burst first, because this is always great, and then we'll take a look at a build. Unfortunately, one of the things with my account is that Earth offensive vision cards are just things I do not possess. I did miss the Noctis card. I've missed some important Earth Elemental cards. So for me, this as a DPS is just a little bit less exciting for my own account, and I'll just say that up front now. But let's talk about the TMR, because this TMR is pretty interesting. It's clothing. You can see the stats right there, some accuracy, critical evade, defense, and HP. But we're also looking at absorbing HP ability. So this new ability that not only works on her, but also allies too, for 3 turns will be able to absorb 30% of the damage done and restore HP to those units. This is a fantastic and incredibly strong TMR that will be just really good into the future. I don't know if the unit is super valuable, but I think that this TMR ability is pretty cool. Now, it says 30% of the damage done. I haven't tested it, so I'm not 100% sure if it works on both magical abilities as well as physical abilities, but we'll try that out a little bit here with the friend unit. So speaking of which, let's jump over to a map. We're going to hope that the game is not in a crashy mode in the way of this video, because obviously it's a little bit scary when trying to record, and we only get one shot at using the friend unit. So here is Frederica's sister-in-law with a completed branded Earth Elemental party with a lot of good vision cards. As you can see, the vision cards that they've slotted her with are pretty generically good. I mean, nothing to complain about, but you think about like some of the more special Earth Elemental cards. This one just isn't showing off that. It'll be interesting to see what her vision card the following week will be. But taking a look at resistances, resistance that she is currently built with the current equipment is pretty strong towards lightning and very strong towards shooting. So maybe looking to answer a little bit of the strong lightning or Landu combos that can be potentially out there. Niv, Frederica, all of that. This is just a hardcore unit to protect against that, but both Glassy and Sadali, two incredibly powerful and really just strong wind elemental units, counter this unit very hard. Of course, there are other units that can potentially counter this unit, but slash and shooting will not be it. Very much going to be spears and magic for hard countering this unit. All right, let's skip down a little bit. First of all, let's talk about her limit burst, because her limit burst is a really big discussion point. Has pretty good range on it, large damage, dispels buffs for the target, haste for the target, physical and magical barriers, decent cost and everything, but also grants auto restore, but the auto restore isn't much. It's only 5%, so you're looking at apron levels of how much AP you're going to be able to restore off this. It's okay, it's fine, but it's pretty low, and I don't know if it'll quite be enough to get there for her AP satisfactoriness. That's the thing, I guess I said. So, sub-jobs. Knight is just not special, and it's not getting a buff yet. So, yeah, I mean, she can disable, she can do some debuffs and whatnot, but the range is bad on the kit, and I just don't think overall that it will probably be good enough worth running. Next up, Pugilist. I mean, there is some synergy here. It does have a good amount of, restoring HP, moving to the unit panel, and increase mods for dealing damage, and this is a tanky kind of girl. She can potentially resist a fair bit of damage and then strike back, and her TMR skill can even restore HP. So all of that is really good. Pugilist you might just want to run. As for the primary job and the secondary part of that kit, we're looking at two abilities. First of all, one that deals damage into a medium amount that also restores AP or decreases AP, for the targets. 15 AP, it's okay, but nothing too special. The other ability here, a buff of 60% attack, which is a pretty big attack buff, let's be honest, but also decreases her spirit for multiple turns, so it's really not helping her in survival against mages, and that is important, because that could hard counter her, and Wind Mage is not worth ignoring, not even a little bit. Alright, main part of her kit is pretty, solid. Not an Earth Elemental pun at all, but there it is. Dealing damage, decreasing agility. We have a next ability, which should be familiar. 200% chance to ignore fatal damage and restores 10 AP for herself. She gets all these little bits of AP restore. What's good into her EX is this ability gets upgraded for 2 uses, putting her on par with a lot of other units' capabilities, and also restores AP up to 20 for herself. So more AP and a couple extra uses. EX is pretty important. Continuing on, we will talk about this buff here, which is a party buff, providing that the units are in range. Grants the users the following effect of dispelling ignoring fatal damage. So Guts or Immortal Spirit removal on potentially multiple units is strong and is potentially good in PvP, as so many units seem to be running it. So yeah, I mean, this unit, PvE, doesn't have really a lot that you're looking for. She doesn't have super good ways of dealing with multiple enemies or getting through a ton of enemies. There's already enough units with better range that can get rid of, barriers and whatnot. So overall, this unit skews very hard towards PvP and less towards PvE. This ability is the best ability as far as I'm concerned in her kit. So moves to a unit that is being targeted, is single target, but removes counter chance. Not only that, into the unit will also deal a 165 mod with triple hits, so it does give Earth another option for chaining. And while Zazen chaining is a thing on global that's much more accessible on JP, remember, only Krakens can really afford Zazen. So yeah, this unit kind of fills a little bit of a space that is needed on JP. Yeah. Next up, we have this ability, her last job level 12 ability basically ignores the float status, increases her defense penetration by 40, deals damage, and gets a modifier bonus if the other unit that she is targeting, it's her, does get a defense, auto restore, or haste status effect. So all of this is particularly good for her, and she'll probably be running this most of the time, and it is a strong ability. Its range isn't super great, but the fact that she can close gaps potentially easy is good. As for her job level 25 ability, AoE ability, single hit, breaks physical damage, her physical barriers, and deals a large amount of damage. It's fine, nothing too terribly amazing to write home. Her support skills are pretty nice, so if we see this class on others, you'll be very happy to get these support skills. First of all, just defense penetration up by 40, attack up by 24%, and move +1 and agility. So I'm really excited to see this job on other characters in the future and also give them a more updated, more relevant fist-related damage job. As for her counter ability that is special here, well, it is basically it's a physical evade. It's a physical reaction evade, so a 200% chance to evade a physical attack, and a 15% chance to activate. Nothing too terribly special, not as good as Reflex that can cover both, but is pretty good for giving her options against physical base units, which is really what you are targeting with this character. Overall, I'm pretty impressed with this character. She has some pretty good stats, pretty good attacks. Her kit is more up to date, but in terms of me recommending her, I don't recommend her for one very easy reason right now. Vision cards and espers. Both vision cards and espers are what this character will really need to excel, and since we haven't seen what's coming next week, I mean, for JP players, it's kind of a wait and see unless you score her pretty quickly. As for global players, you'll have the luxury of seeing what is coming into the future. And if we get a nice Earth Elemental Esper, this character will probably do pretty well. But if you're asking me what I think about someone like Eliza, who's a 90 cost unit, and kind of is a pretty good new like generational unit, I'd still put Eliza just ahead just because of the massive amount of range, but I think this character will be interesting to see how she performs for the next couple weeks on JP and whether or not she can really pull Earth particularly strong and maybe even push against wind too, or other elements that are still problematic, such as, light evasion maybe, dark overall power, water strength. I'll be testing when I go up against her. But we shall give a shot, and we shall also give a shot on the brand new JP map. Also, while I'm waiting for this, I'm just going to point out the new Bahamut down here. Next week, we'll be playing some Strangers in Paradise. Yes, that's it. On stream. I think it's Strangers in Paradise. It's definitely not Strangers on Paradise. For a global heads up as well, I would like to shout out this map, which has a lot of status effects and is quite nasty to run in auto. If you run mages on this map, on this side, they will be reflected by Carbuncle, and you will be very sad. There's no other two ways about it. You are just going to be very, 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 very sad about what will happen to you. Let's switch around some characters. And let's get going and test out this unit for a first run for me and for everyone else. All right, so we have Noctis here. We're going to get Noctis just doing some basically what we would kind of expect. We'll one panel ahead and then one panel back, but still some progress, so good for us. Oberyn, of course, just a really strong unit and great since he's gotten some of his recent style buffs. And here we got Macherie, a new unit that I have kind of just stopped using a little more recently. It's not for any particular reason, more just because it's kind of hard to... I've been distracted by just so many good units lately. definitely kind of on Team Ayala. All right, so what are we looking here? Do we want to run her 60% attack boost? I think we do. No, you know what? Let's run the vampire one because that's something we're really interested in. And I think that'll be quite fun to test out how good that really is. And we'll just move Kauf over here for now and be totally fine. Guts and a whole bunch of other stuff in this map. Quite a little bit frustrating to get through, but we'll get there. Also, Frederica with bells, because they really wanted to make this map one of the most annoying things I've ever seen in my entire life. This also counts as a showcase of this map, too. So much value. Alright, well, we're still a little bit out of range. We want them to kind of get feel like they matter, so let's just do this. Up close. We've already done that buff. We're going to do the armature buff. That's arbiter. Arbiter? Yes, Arbor Day buff. That's exactly it. We're going to hit Frederica over here like a freaking freight train and just get her out of this map. There's also a little bit of a fun thing to do with this map, which just is well, you'll see. All right, so also let's stop for a second and just take a look at her in battle stats. So about 9,000 HP. Attack really hasn't moved at all, but I'm not overly concerned about that. If we were in this position already and we wanted to use her close the gap, you can see it's a little bit awkward sometimes. Not too terribly concerning, but yeah. All right, so let's run this attack buff. Gonna get a nice little bit there, and let's go over, peek. See her in battle, and roughly what her attack will get up to. I think if we had the Noctis card, though, I do remember that is a pretty strong card to get your hands on. All right, so we're gonna get just, you know, a little bit nice physical dodge there, which I'm quite happy to see. Here comes Carbuncle doing a bit of magic. We want to take some damage here. All right, so Noctis does have this status effect, or the vampire effect, so let's see how that works when we trigger something like a limit burst. As you can see, we do get the full style Astoria kind of effects off of this, which is really, really, really quite big. I mean, if you want to talk about like capabilities that the units are able to do, I think that's quite a good result overall. Let's go after the Mr. Healer in the back here because he's kind of annoying. Oberon's got a pretty cool limit burst. Get rid of some enemies. Okay. We'll get a nice... Well, let's not energy burst our friends. They are our friends. Alright, nice little hit there. Some hate generation. We are going to try get these guys down. I believe this is the one I want. Yes. And Mashari could just whack the snake. We'll just... not that. That's a little bit nukey. And there we go. Super. Alright, now we have our brand new unit. She has been buffed. We can see how much damage she's doing. Her limit burst is quite strong. Chaining is also quite strong. I mean, you're just not... I think you're getting pretty good amounts of damage. As you can see, we're also regenerating HP off of her abilities. So let's get the limit burst here, but let me just turn down the speed a little bit so we can appreciate it a bit more. Still went really fast. Okay. Or it kept the it kept the triple speed. Interesting. Get paralyzed like a chump. We are going to try and get, we are going to suffer this a little bit though, so we can get an answer about something specifically, which is whether or not magic attack. So we need to get heal over. And there you go. Noctis proving that he's still as good as a brand new unit. We're just going to poke this guy right in the back, decrease his speed, and then we're going to just start getting our mages over to get a little bit of a buff. We're not under the biggest threat anyway. So let's just head over here. He'll follow us, so we don't have to worry terribly much about it. Oh, Noctis didn't make it through the second turn. That's so sad. Remember, this guy does have a reflex status effect, which is kind of nasty to deal with. Not too terribly, and we'll also just... I mean, I never get to use this Esper, so let's do that too. That's fine, we're totally okay with this. He's going to take his best little swing at our ally there, and now we're going to reactivate that effect, and we're going to see if it works on magic-based users as well. Frederica's body has disappeared. Now, we do have to be a little bit careful about this because, again, Reflect is active on this unit. So we are going to just pass the turn. We are not under any kind of, like, big time pressure crunch or anything like that. We do want the appropriate information, though. That is definitely something. Also, since while we're just kind of waiting to get this set up, I do want to just highlight again that I do have no clue how her name is officially spelled. You're going to have to wait 3 months, Globalers, until you to get the answer to that one. Oh, thank you, Paralysis. We do have Calf, though, which I appreciate. Alright, so magical style abilities, Energy Buster right here is going to be a plenty good indication of whether or not we are regenerating health. Which, yes, we are. There you go. Alright, so overall, what do I think? Well, let me just bring up my review points. So, Yuaru, no, I don't know if that's the spelling. Earth Permanent Cost Unit, Earth Fist 90 cost permanent unit. The Vampire TMR is pretty cool and could potentially be just incredibly useful in certain places, and meaning that you don't need any kind of healer support on certain groups. It's kind of cool, and it works for physical and magical, as we found out tonight. She is more of a PvP character. Nothing in her kit really makes me feel like PvE. Like, you think about like Mashari with massive AoEs, or so many mages that are capable of doing it way better. This just doesn't seem like a PvE character that much. Teleport skills allow her to close the gaps, and that will be useful in guild raid and everything like that. But more importantly, she does have some chaining in her kit, which is quite nice. Guts just makes her pretty damn tanky, and she is capable of dealing damage. But overall, you think about all the units and the fact that summer units are coming up for JP, and by the time this comes out in Global 3 months from now, Halloween units will be very close. This is just not a must-have or any kind of a priority unit, but it will be really fun for fist-type damage lovers out there, so that's great. And the unit overall has a really nice design, really nice color scheme. Wind magic is just her weakness kind of thing, and overall, while her kit feels very solid, it doesn't feel amazing. Maybe the improvements to Pugilist and Knight in the future, once they're done updating those jobs, will be really, really good. But for now, it just feels a little bit so-so. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this look at Frederica's sister-in-law, which is just how we will refer to her from now on. But that'll be it for me. Let me know what you think of the character in the comments below, and have a great weekend. I'll see you next week for some Strangers in Paradise chaos. There we go. Waiting to say that all video. See ya.